to kind of finish our World Cup coverage on some level. Like it's
weird to phrase it like that, but
it's kind of to that point. We at least we are done with games here in Texas. There are 3 games left in total. Today's semifinal between Argentina. Yes, there's a third place
they have
game.
a consolation. Okay.
Yes, which I had kind of because it's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like it's not the Olympics. You don't have a bronze medal to hand out.
Right.
What's the need for a third place game?
Right.
It's a weird bit.
Which that kind of
PLG's over there making the. we got Johnny Manziel in the corner.
yes, absolutely. That is part of it. But that was part of the interesting discussion on the Spanish-French broadcast, where they're basically saying the manager was signing off from the World Cup, and it's like,
no, it's not.
Was this his last match then, or who's in charge on Saturday?
Well, but doesn't that speak to they don't care?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking
why
the
would
players.
you?
Well, especially because there's no monetary, they're not getting money if they win the third place match, and
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
I wouldn't think that. Well, and
Well, the U.S. got paid, and they didn't even make it out of the round of 16.
Okay, so I should.
True.
I think it's more that there's no necessarily as a player reason to try to win that match.
Yeah,
I would think, especially
there
given
may be a financial component to it, but you're not. That's not why you're here.
Right. I guess that's more the point.
Yeah.
Is if you're not going to win the trophy, the World Cup trophy,
right,
and you get knocked out, not only are you not finishing in second place, like you wouldn't even get a silver trophy or a silver medal in this case, you're playing for third, and there's just no, I guess, implication of that match that has any sort of meaning.
Yeah, I candidly, I don't know if there's any financial reward for that.
I'm looking it up right now,
but
now I'm curious.
But
the nations that finish third and fourth will pocket $30 million and $28 million respectively.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so there's a $2 million difference.
Yes.
In total value. So
maybe
spread
that's
that over the 20 guys on the roster. I mean,
about $10,000.
It's not an insignificant sum of money, but it's also not what they're
playing
there for.
Right.
Yes.
Like at the end of the day, if they go away with their share of 28 million or their share of 30 million, okay,
yeah.
they're both doing just fine. And if you're France and you were the favorite all the way through this thing, and now you get this gut punch of a performance yesterday and get knocked out by Spain, you think Kylian Mbappe cares about the third place game on Saturday?
But
no.
that's the question. Is now there's some little bit extra on that. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Michelle.
No, it's okay. I think when you look at soccer specifically too, remember this is the international break from their club seasons. It's not like this tournament ends and they get a whole summer to go frolic around, or the summer or
frolic
something.
and fishing.
Is that what the Cowboys are doing right now?
Yeah, they're frolicking. They're fishing and frolicking. But I guess the soccer calendar never stops. You have your club season, and then you have these international tournaments that go on, kind of dispersed throughout. And so that's why there's such an impetus put on how much these players are being how much they're being worked. And it feels like to me adding that match in or having that match at all is just another 90 minutes on a body when they are so conscious and cognizant of how much these players are being asked to play because the schedule never stops.
I'll be interested to see who actually plays and how many minutes.
Yeah.
But that is part of the question in that, we're talking about national teams. There's a ton of unity in all of these guys in terms of representing their country. And maybe it's different if, let's say, Croatia had gone on a deep run like they had done recently, and it's Modric's last chance to put his jersey on. You know what I mean? Or Ronaldo, his last chance in a Portugal jersey or something on those lines. It's no telling, and again, we're saying no telling, right? But, France and the loser of England-Argentina usually have bigger aspirations for this, and they will be perennial powerhouses. So the idea that someone on that roster that isn't in their 30s or 40s is looking at this as an experience I really want to soak in this chance in a jersey is a little different than DR Congo going on a run or Cabo Verde going on a run where there's national pride at stake involved.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think of when the Stars North Finland team won Olympic bronze, and granted they won a medal there, but they showed up for the bronze medal match and played hard because they were representing Finland, and it was a way to put a stamp on their journey. That's still technically up for grabs here. It's just different when you're talking about teams that knew they were going to be there.
Especially because even if you're playing in that third place match. There's a difference between third and fourth in that setting because there's a difference in medaling and not.
Right.
There's still to me more at stake than any sort of monetary compensation.
By the way, the runners-up get $34 million.
Yeah.
If you win it, you get 51, or your share anyway. They're splitting it amongst the team, probably the coaches. There's probably a lot of pieces of the pie that are divided up here, but it's a $51 million sum.
So you guys brought this up in the group chat yesterday, but I want to kind of continue the conversation here. Mbappe, the Mbappe of it all. Because, granted, we don't know how England-Argentina is going to turn out. But let's say Argentina comes up short against England. Mbappe versus Messi for a golden boot race at the end of this thing. Now, granted, Messi's toward the tail end of his career. We kind of think this is going to be his last World Cup. Mbappe is about the halfway point. Do you think there's any chance, if those two meet in a third-place match, that it turns into who can score in this thing to either get the trophy or end up with the record at the end of this? And should either one of them look at that third-place match as an opportunity to do so, or do you think that would be the wrong approach? Because it's not technically in a game that's playing for first place overall.
You're trying.
you're playing
you're
for
trying
history.
to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just out there playing the game, and you're trying to win. And if you happen to score, you score. I don't think that. I don't think that whoever's in the third place match should be like, well, I probably shouldn't score here because if I do, I'm going to take the golden.
But I mean, in terms of a World Cup record, are we going to look back as a third place match as the deciding difference between these two careers?
I feel like in that setting, probably a World Cup game, even if it's not for the final, would mean more to Messi than an MLS match for within our aim. I think that if he had a chance to increase his World Cup goal scoring total, and etch his name even further into history, he'd be playing for that.
Yeah.
And I would be interested to see how the teams went about basically trying to set up both Messi and Mbappe.
Yeah, are they both force feeding?
Yeah,
is this wide open? Let's go 5-6-5.
You know, in basketball, when there are those games where it's he's so close to 60 or so close to some sort of milestone.
Yeah.
They just keep feeding the beast.
Yep.
I could see
like David
that
Robinson
type
back
of
in the
approach.
day.
Yeah,
just let him get to 70. Steal a scoring title. Let's show real quick the Golden Boot race, Kelly. I think it's VO5 here, just to give people an idea, because this wasn't updated yesterday, kind of shockingly in terms of the result. But Mbappe still leads the table with 8 goals and 3 assists. Messi 1 assist behind. It can be determined by assists, just as an FYI. I don't know if there's a tiebreaker in terms of finish of the team, because or they just have 2 trophies. Let's say Messi gets an assist in the upcoming game.
According to what I'm seeing here, most assists is the first tiebreaker, and then fewest minutes played.
Ooh, interesting.
Is then where they go from there.
And Mbappe did play the third group stage match, and Messi only subbed in on that. I'm kind of wondering where they both land on that.
The other factor here, though, that we'd be forgetting if it's a scenario where they are facing off in the third place game, is if they're facing off in the third place game, it's because England beat Argentina.
Yeah.
And if England beats Argentina, you're probably getting goals from either Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane or both, considering they have scored 13 goals in this World Cup, and the 2 of them have 12 of the 13.
Yes.
They
were 4
they
and
can
5
also,
on that list.
they can also very, very conceivably jump both of them if England's winning 2 more games here.
Well, but both of them would need 3 goals.
Yeah.
That's to jump them. That's kind of where we are. So, and it's not saying that's impossible, but
with 2 matches to go,
2 matches to go, and one against a defense that stifled what we thought was the best attack in the game.
Yeah.
Buddy.
That was impressive as heck yesterday.
For them to do that against a France attack that was as lethal as it was, and we talked that up all through the show yesterday, it was mystifying the way that they were able to shut down France. It was fantastic, and it has to send reverberations across the country to Atlanta. They have to have noticed what just happened. And sure, they're going to battle it out here in a little under 2 hours' time for a spot in the final, but it's got to be in the back of the minds, at least of the fan bases, of, holy smokes, if we win this one, how the heck are we going to score against them?
But that's the thing. It's at least where soccer is concerned, you don't have to score to win. You can get to PKs. You can struggle your way through there. England found out the hard way in terms of that Mexico match. It's like if we have to defend down 1 for 10, 15 minutes, the final stretch of a game. It was longer than that. It was closer to like half hour, if I remember correctly. But at least it felt like a half hour, I'm sure, to everyone on the field.
Yeah.
But in that environment, like all it matters is that first opportunity or nothing. And if you can just get to PKs where it's a coin flip and anything can happen, who knows?
Yeah.
Because at this point, with the World Cup riding on the line, we saw it last year, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's prepared for that moment. I say last World Cup cycle, excuse me. It's a reflex whenever we're talking about sports.
I do wonder, too, how much it would change the game plan or the approach of whoever ends up facing Spain in the final.
Yeah.
Do you ultimately just play to get to PKs? Like, do you just play to defend? And maybe you get a chance on a counter, but mostly you're just trying to not concede because you know you're not going to have a heck of a time scoring yourself. It could make for a very interesting final, I guess I would say, just from a stylistic standpoint. But, yesterday was incredible from a Spain perspective, just to be able to quiet a French team that was so loud and so dynamic offensively. And then for them to not only net one, but the way in which they scored was also impressive.
They got not necessarily a gift, but the penalty call was a penalty. Like there's no two ways about it. Like that is part of the rules of the game. But the second goal was more indicative of how they played.
Yeah.
And they got the second goal in part because the first one was on the board, and that's where some of the discussion happens and gets a little sideways. But
I mean, you're talking about Spain beating a France team that hadn't actually lost a game in the World Cup.
In regulation, yes.
Since 2014.
Yeah.
That was the last time they lost a game within a 90-minute game, or even if you were to go to extra time. Because the only loss they had in 22 was in the final, and it went to PKs. They won in 2018, did not lose a match all the way through. Yeah. They had not lost in World Cup play since 2014.
Yeah.
And Spain was able to put that performance together against them.
And here's the thing. Some of it could just be matchups. Because Spain has had France's number recently. Like, their last 3 meetings they've won?
Like that,
so that's part of this, the European angle of it. They obviously are very familiar with each other. You don't know if that's going to carry over in an England matchup where all of a sudden you've got 60 years of history on their side, or 60 years of disappointment, I should say, or an Argentina side that I'm sure is looking at this going like, well, if we were worried about a rematch with France, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if all we need is a goal to keep pace, I'll put the odds on that Messi's going to find a way to find the back of the net. You know what I mean?
Which does lead us to, like, today's match.
Yes.
I was going to say, who you guys got for today?
Yeah.
Who did Elfie have again?
Elfie has Argentina.
Okay.
that means nothing.
Yeah.
She's been batting 75%.
Right yesterday.
Yeah,
She's been
right yesterday.
batting 75%. Yeah. So again, 75%. There were 4 matches left. She was correct on Spain. So she's going to whiff on one of the next 3, just by the odds.
Well,
will she
good
even
for me
bother
that
to
I
do a pick for the third place match?
No, I'm
Probably. She has a sponsor now, so.
There you go.
now would be a good time to run the GIF. Don't even like that dog. I'm just kidding. Believe it or not,
I don't like that dog either.
Thank you, Tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. A man of the truth.
No, but who you got today?
I legitimately think England wins today.
Really? Okay.
I think that what we have seen from Argentina over the course of this run, the number of times they've had to pull a rabbit out of their hat, the number of times that the rest of the soccer world has been calling foul on some of the ways that these games have been officiated. I just Messi is unbelievable. But the depth beyond him, and there seem to be some holes within, especially from a midfield perspective for Argentina. It just seems like England from top to bottom is stronger. We'll see, but I think England gets them.
Okay.
Okay, see, I completely agree with you. Like, when I think about the matchups,
That's
just
shocking for me to hear with a soccer opinion.
Well, no, just in general, I actively disagree with him.
It's far more regular than you would have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But that was kind of what I thought about the matchup yesterday. I thought genuinely based on the matchups, what we've seen from each of these teams throughout this tournament, that France is going to win. And that's kind of how I thought about a lot of different matchups in these predictions that we've done over the course of this tournament, which is why I have to pick Argentina, because every time I think that something logically makes sense, that's not what
The
happens.
opposite happens.
Yeah.
And so I'm like 0 for
Ain't
9
that
in my
sports?
predictions and my picks. Yeah, exactly. And that's sports. And so you think about, yes, I think England as a whole is a better team. They've looked better. They've been able to go into, the Azteca
yeah.
and
Yeah, that was
defeat a Mexican national team in a country that was completely rallied around them. Like, they've defied all the odds. They've been waiting 60 years. Like, I think it makes sense. Yet, Argentina has Messi, and I feel like, have some magic through this tournament, and so I'm going to just pick Argentina so that maybe I'm right.
I was going to say both teams have had their late rallies,
Yes.
right? Like obviously the Messi one recently, but Harry Kane saved them against DR Congo in the first round of the knockout stage. So both of their stars have shown
gosh,
up when
I
they needed
forgot
to.
about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like these are the teams that don't die.
Yes.
And they're both meeting in the semifinal, which is kind of funny. But all that being said, like this Argentina team feels a little bit like the 24 Chiefs to me. Where it's just like they've got the guy, they're a little long in the tooth, they've been around, they have the championship belt on the roster, but it's like they keep finding ways to survive, and everyone wants to keep poking holes in them, and they're like they're gonna fall apart at some point. Someone will get them. We don't know who, but it will happen, and then it doesn't happen. Or it could be the Chiefs the next year, where they somehow stumbled their way in, and then the Eagles took them to the woodshed. You know what I mean? Like you don't know which side of the fence they're on that, but it does feel like they are on a razor-thin margin.
Yes.
The one thing I will say in Argentina's favor, though, and the reason why I'm kind of leaning toward them in this matchup, the rest of the lineup has finally started scoring. And granted, it took Switzerland going down to 10 men for it to happen late in that match, but this isn't what it was early on in the group stages, which is just Messi's going to score, and we don't know who else is going to fill up the roster. They've had 3 different scorers in the last 2 matches here. They've finally found offense in other spots. If that's what's going to happen, I kind of lean toward, the greatest of all time finding a way to get it done and find the final.
I know that the Switzerland red card had its level of controversy. If you're on a yellow, don't dive.
That's the thing.
Simple.
Like I
if
hated
you're on a
that
yellow,
controversy.
don't dive.
Just don't dive. Period. Like
Yeah.
don't
Well,
put yourself in that.
That also, yes.
Because it wasn't even the first time they handed out a yellow card this tournament for diving.
that,
It was in the American match against.
Yes. Against Paraguay.
So like there was precedent for it. Don't put yourself in that position. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with Elfie for the first time,
Ever?
and I think England's going to take it.
Ooh,
I
we got to
think they're
split.
hungrier. I think they're hungrier than Argentina is.
Oh, I'd agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think just the sheer grit is going to get him through.
Wow. She disagreed with the dog.
Don't tell Elfie I said that.
That's rough.
Cannot
We'll tell her.
believe that this
So
is
that
happening.
she doesn't just hate me because I said she was dead to me.
If anybody would like to adopt a dog, Kelly is putting her beloved Elfie up for adoption.
It's not my dog.
She's
Okay, Jonah.
Before we hit a break, our brilliant team across the hallway put together an ode to the World Cup, a goodbye to having the World Cup here in North Texas, and we wanted to share it with you because it was a really special month for this area, for this market, for us as a station to have the opportunity to cover this and live through this all, and for people that just live here in general. It was really cool to see the World Cup come here to North Texas.
And I love how North Texas has embraced how special soccer is. Everyone is getting in on it.
It's been incredible. Let me tell you, the fans coming here from all over the world.
Today, this is the center of the universe here in North Texas.
It was amazing. And when I walked up to it, it felt so gigantic and like another world almost.
Never seen anything like this, Texas, the real experience.
It's going to be very hot.
Caliente, man.
I enjoy the energy of the fans, you know.
Coco, you said you wanted to try
Big beef.
big beef. That is steak, that is hamburger, that is brisket. We can help you out. You're in the right place if you want big beef.
The people here.
Like Dallas, like sports event is amazing, excited.
I fell more and more in love with the Americans the more I am here.
I'm just never going home ever. Might stay in Dallas.
I want to stay.
You want to stay?
Yeah.
Today in Texas, in Dallas, Viva Mexico!
This is extraordinary power and connectivity that reminds us that what unites us is far bigger than what divides us.
I'm emotional. It's our last one.
You have tears in your eyes.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
And I can't hear a word you're saying, but I think you guys got it out to me. And this has become Soccer Central.
Man, it's getting louder in here already.
I feel like alive. Like I feel like I'm with people that I know I have a hobby with.